Right, welcome to the November Hustings TV show, where myself and Joe, will be joined by all the Hustings candidates, and we will ask them questions about their manifesto, about their posters, and about what they intend to do if they were to get the role. We start with female sport. We have Katy Perry and Chloe Sturley. To start things off, you're meant to introduce yourselves, but I did that for you. Why don't you both tell us an interesting fact about yourselves, starting with Chloe?
Interesting fact about me is that I actually once danced on Strictly Come Dancing.
Oh,
that's pretty good.
Yeah,
I'll
very
take that.
interesting.
My surname is usually my interesting fact. I have the same name as a pop star.
Yeah.
Good. Two good facts.
Yeah.
Good facts to start
Yeah.
off.
And we'll start with a quick game of name the ODE, if you're interested. So ODE is one-day event, which is a big part of our sporting calendar. There's a lot of points to be had there.
And we're traditionally very good at ODs as well.
Yeah, we are. So we'll go backwards and forwards, naming ODEs until we run out, if you want.
Okay.
So who wants to start?
We start
Okay. Swimming,
dodgeball,
handball,
water polo,
men's cricket,
women's cricket,
women's touch rugby,
men's touch rugby.
There's no men's touch rugby.
Damn it.
It's not too bad.
No, not too bad. Moving on to our next question. As a whole, we traditionally don't do walkovers. So, as I'm sure you know, as I'd hope you know, a walkover is when we don't have enough players to fill a team, so we have to essentially walk over the fixture and we lose IMS points for it. And traditionally, that's something we do not do. How do you both plan to ensure that we won't have any walkovers and that you'll be able to fill positions in squads? Start with Katie.
Okay, I think making sure that, like, as a sports sec, you know a bunch of people that are keen, enthusiastic, and would be willing to fill in and are really keen to get involved. So making sure that you know a network of people that are likely to want to get involved, so you can call on people if you need them.
Sounds good. And Chloe?
I want to make sure I keep in touch with the second, third, fourth years, especially the ones back from placement, so you can fill the gaps in the team, and when doing trials, be inclusive. So those might not make the team, let them come to training and improve so that they can then join later in the year.
Two very good answers.
Yeah, good. Cheers. So our current female sports sects are both very, very good, but what are you going to improve? Let's start with
Chloe?
I'd like to get in more training sessions, which is always tough to do, and then I would like to try and push spectators, because that's always good to support your hall.
Okay, I'd quite like to have some more socials for the sports. So, for example, for the netball team, if we have a big squad and everyone really gets to know each other, it really helps with team dynamics and working well as a team if you know your players, if you know your teammates.
Moving on to the manifestos, and one quick question for the poster, for Katie. Why not a Katy Perry themed poster?
It's too obvious. Way too obvious.
That's fair enough.
I've had jokes about my name made since I was about 9.
I just had to ask the
Way
question that
too
was on
obvious.
everybody's
That's
tongue.
nothing to do with sport.
That's also true. So about the manifesto, can you elaborate on what you meant by when you said you wanted bigger squads? Do you mean that you wanted more substitutes, or do you mean that you wanted more people to get involved in the fixtures?
So to have more people, having spoken to friends that have sort of trialled for things, some of them have said they felt like they'd prefer there to be more opportunities for like everyone to play. So for example, for training, so have a big squad that trains together so that they can improve throughout the year. So it doesn't end just being sort of the same 10 people that play together and they improve and they work together as a team. Whereas if there are more people that all work together and play together, then more people are likely to improve and develop.
Okay, and do you think that having any IMS socials will make people who don't take part in sport feel less involved in whole life or aspects of whole life?
No, not necessarily.
Okay,
So
to
I think-
elaborate.
Well, having a more social aspect could be a way for people that maybe were on the fence about getting involved in IMS, might sort of go along, meet some people they really like and actually want to take part.
That's fair.
And Chloe, you talk quite a lot about sports engineering in your manifesto. And how much time does this take up? Do you have time to be on committee?
Yeah, I do have time. It is quite a high contact degree, having lab and lectures, but there is quite a bit of spare time, especially sort of Wednesday afternoons, weekends. I currently find the time to take part in most IMS sports and support others, so I'm pretty happy that I can continue that.
Yeah, fair enough. Well, thanks for coming along to our first set of interviews. Next, we're moving on to... I shouldn't have said that because I don't know what we're moving on to. Anyway, thanks for coming, guys.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Best of luck.
Speak into the mic, by the way, guys. Like, quite close.
Hello.
Not like in your mouth, Ben, but...
Sorry. My bad.
Cool. Welcome back to our second round of interviews for November Hustings. We're here with our social sex. Do you guys all want to go down, introduce yourself, and if you were an animal, what animal would you be?
Ooh, hard question. I'm Ben. Nice to meet you all. And I would be a bear. Grr.
Hi, I'm Beatrice, and I'd be a hedgehog.
Hi, I'm Scott, and I'd be a polar bear.
That's better. Cool. So we'll move into our first question. This is for all of you. Every year, every single social says we're going to run more sober events, we're going to do more inclusive things, and every year we get very similar sober events, or none at all. So what are your plans for sober events this year?
So I was thinking of something along like just come down and meet a friend or something along them lines. So you've got a lot of events in regards to like quiz nights and film nights. Maybe have something not exactly in the daytime, but just before like 6, maybe 7, maybe 8, just to come meet new people. Like if you've never been down before, because there might be some people sitting in the rooms all day. Just get them involved a bit more.
Yeah.
So I was thinking about occasionally doing movie nights and also having daytime events like ice skating, maybe Nottingham races, if you can get a big enough group to come and to organise it.
Yeah.
So my idea was kind of similar to Beatrice's, but going down to just town, so going to the cinema or going down even to like Leicester where we went bowling the first day. Just organising trips like that where people can enjoy it just throughout the weekends when they've got nothing on.
Good answers. What's the next question? What would you do differently to the person who is currently in the position that you are trying to win?
So that's
Josh. Yeah.
Okay, so...
But just generally, socials tend to work together, so what would you do differently to the current social sec approach to how things are run in the whole?
So first off, I'd make sure that it's equally balanced between both social sex, so we equally balanced out between who's planning what events and this, that and the other, who's doing queue jumps which nights. I'd maybe do a bit of different things with the queue jump, so maybe do them a bit earlier than usual, because normally they're always just before the night. Maybe do it a bit earlier so people who might not be able to go early, like people who do sport, might not be able to go get queue jumps because they're at training or something like that, so I make it fairer to get queue jumps.
Mm-hmm.
That's what I do differently.
So I had ideas to do more Facebook polls to see what people wanted to do on nights out and stuff, and then generally for the day events just see what people want to do and then organise it based on that so that people can enjoy their time more.
So I'm on, I'm currently thinking the socials have done a brilliant job this year, and so there's not much I'd like to change, but there's some things such as the queue jumps, as Ben said, and equally other events like the run by the union, so just advertising those events, what's going on. So the big nights such as the phone parties and the neon party on Wednesday, for example, really heavily advertise those so people can know to go out if they want to. So about that, yeah.
Okay. And Scott,
Yeah.
big news. You've already had a 12-hour campaign ban for 30 seconds of pre-campaigning. Is that showing poor organisation? And do you think it'll affect your campaign in the long run?
So I'd argue it showed great organisation, but poor execution.
Yeah.
I was trying to plan, because I have training during some nights of the week, I was trying to plan my event so I could get it in exactly midnight and be a legal post, so I could get the Wednesday prees basically. So what happened was I was trying to make my event at before midnight and I accidentally pressed create the event. And of course this led to the impact of the 12-hour ban, which is a completely justifiable sanction.
Fair.
And so I wouldn't say it's necessarily poor organisation, but just a lack of execution, which I just need to work on a bit.
Yeah, fair enough. Fair. And Beatrice, you talk about a new punch recipe.
Mm-hmm.
What's wrong with the current one?
No. No, there's nothing wrong with the current one. I just mean switch it up a bit, just make it a bit more interesting. Even though punch right now is amazing, we know, because they've already changed it before. But just make it, maybe give a tropical flavour. Obviously, be careful with allergies and stuff. But other than that, just change it up a bit.
Fair enough. Fair.
Ben, You mentioned sober events a lot in your manifesto,
Yeah.
and you gave us an example of one earlier of what you would do.
Yeah.
How would you plan on getting people who currently still, because we don't have many sober events as things are, every now and again we
Yeah.
have one, and still some people who don't get involved in drinking events don't get involved in the sober events. So how would you plan on making sure that everybody does get involved and does come out of their room, like you said, if they do stay in their room all day and do nothing?
So I'll try and utilise Facebook a bit more. So obviously, like we did in Freshers, we got everyone into the main chat and this, that and the other. I would try and basically help get more people to use Facebook to like go. So when you click going to an event, you know, maybe taking a bit of a type of register kind of way and just see who actually shows up to these type of events. And if you see a certain amount of people not showing up, take a list of names and just go drop them a message and see, like, you know, not seeing you at any of the socials, feel like popping along, and if they don't respond, they don't respond, but at least you've made that like contact with them to see if they would come or not.
That's a good answer.
So, Beatrice, you talk about reducing the amount of action hours to get half-price punch party, but we've currently had issues this year filling our action projects, and I feel like it's probably gonna affect that even more if we take away the incentives.
That was a mistake on my behalf. It wasn't to reduce the amount of action hours you do. I just meant so it'd be easier to see like how many people had done action projects as opposed to how many hours. But I realise now it's not a social concern, it's more to do with action concern. But I just wanted to put more emphasis on the fact that I think that action like projects and people that do RAG and join in the IMS games should get like priority, like half price punch parties or priority queue jumps.
On the priority queue jumps, how would you regulate that to stop people coming up and saying, oh, I've done 3 action projects in the last few weeks, give me a queue jump?
Well, I'd just keep track of how many. I'd obviously speak to Action, make sure that they've actually done it, they've not already collected their priority queue jump for like action projects they've already done. Just keep on top of that, and like just speak to sports sec, see who's done the games, and then
Okay. Scott, you mentioned in your manifesto that one of the things that you would do if elected as social sec is more transparency of timings for events during Freshers. How do you think you'd be able to do that more so than it was this year during Freshers?
So I think the main issue we had during Freshers, I mean, the Freshers was brilliant, don't get me wrong, but the only issue I had really with it was I felt like pre-ing we didn't have enough time because some of us didn't really know when to start, and therefore we'd had like an hour and then we'd go straight to the union at the time. I know it's set by the union, of course, but like, so by announcing on the Facebook page each morning and announcing it, I know this happened later on in the Freshers, but I felt at the start it didn't really happen as much. And if we like on the timetable, if we just list like timings of stuff that we initially expect, then people can just plan around this and get ready to prees and then get ready as well as stuff like that.
Okay. And Ben, social's quite a busy role, and I know you're on at least 2 AU teams.
Yes.
How do you plan on fitting all of your committee responsibilities around that?
Well, I have been an athlete for a very long time, and I've had to deal with time management for the past 9 years, academically and obviously sport-wise. And I think that just proves in itself 9 years of managing through GCSEs and BTECs, doing my work and getting it in all the time. And then obviously I've done a lot of extracurriculum stuff alongside that. And I feel like I have enough time to do this as well.
Fair enough.
Beatrice, you mentioned in your manifesto that you would like to hold monthly meetings with members of Hall so they can give their opinions and express feedback on socials and so on and so forth. We do well to get 50 people to come down to an HGM. How do you reckon you'd manage to get people to come down to a monthly social meeting?
Well, I'd put it on the Facebook group chat, just let people know that if you do like have any concerns, you want a specific social event, then I'm here in the Granby. If they don't come, then it obviously means that they're enjoying the events, or they can obviously message me if they don't want to come down and speak to me in person. But other than that, they can it's just a place for them to voice their opinions, and
Okay, I think we've got time for one more question.
Yeah, we can do. We can go. Oh, we'll go to Scott. We ran Courtyard Prees a couple of times last year. You talk about it again, and I mean they were moderately successful. I would describe them. I mean, an amount of people turned up. I mean, how are we going to get people? Oh my God, how are we going to get more people down?
Well, it's not necessarily about getting people down, it's about giving people the opportunity to come down if they like. So by having the courtyard open during a big summer's day, gives people the opportunity to come and socialise with everyone in Regret, which is always an important thing, rather than just staying with your flat or your block, for example.
Yeah. Okay.
Thank you very much for coming and answering our questions. That's it for the social section of the TV show. We'd like to wish all of you the best of luck in your campaign, and we will soon be back with another section. Right, so we're on to the next section, which is media. So would you like to start us off by introducing yourself and giving us a random noise?
So I'm Karis. I want to run for media.
That's 2 noises. That's probably all right.
Yeah, great.
We'll start you off with the first question. We came 8th in our first media hand in this term. What do you think is the reason for that, and how do you think we could improve media submissions and media hand-ins and media in general for the whole to rank higher in the future?
I think like obviously there's a lot of pressure with media because it's like has to be quite a quick turnaround for everyone to be happy in the situation, which is quite difficult because obviously like going through sorting everything, editing everything, it's a lot of work. But I guess like more dedication, focus, hard work, all of that combined.
Okay.
Yeah. And the person currently in your position is Michael. He's over there. I mean, he does an all right job, but what would you do better?
I mean, this is kind of difficult because he is
First, he doesn't have any
Right
feelings.
there.
You're all right.
No,
Yeah.
yeah.
great. I guess what I've seen from Michael is more like film. Am I right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, well, I'm not amazing at film, gonna put that out there, but I'd like to learn more about it. What can I do better? Maybe be a bit more present.
Oh, fair enough.
I haven't necessarily seen Michael at like loads of things, so I'd kind of want to be a bit more like show face, a bit more like people know who I am type of thing.
Yeah.
Maybe.
Going back to what you mentioned about the film, our other media rep, Becky, will also be happy to admit that her strength is photography.
Yeah.
And obviously, as you mentioned, media, filming is a big part of media, and we have to regularly produce videos for different things, and they're all part of the mark scheme for the media submission. How do you think you and Becky together would combat that obstacle of making videos and quality videos to score high marks?
Well, I think we've both obviously got like a very good equipment, like both combined. So I think also like I'm very much able to do it. Like I can edit. Like I am. When I say I can't do it, it's not I can't do it. I'm just not amazing. So I think both of us are quite talented, I would assume, in media. So I'm sure we'll be fine.
Okay. You talked a lot about photography in your manifesto, but the media role covers a lot of other things as well: posters, social media accounts, making sure we're reaching the right people and things like that. There's a lot of advertising that goes on. Do you have any plans for different ways we can advertise, ways we can reach out to people?
I guess I don't like in terms of media pages, they aren't that active really. Like I see the occasional post on Instagram from like one night out. So I think by making them more active, I'm quite good at social media. Like my Instagram @Jonesy for your eyes is like I like curating that. I like doing that. So I very much want to get very involved with social media. So I think that's the best way to reach people, especially young people like our age. Everyone's on social media. Everyone's active on social media. That's probably the best way to grow.
And we'll finish off with one final question. You mentioned in your manifesto that you went to Brighton and did photography.
Yeah.
And it was bland, I believe is the word you used,
Yes.
and it kind of sucked the fun out of something that you really enjoyed.
Yes.
How would being media rep be any different in taking away the enjoyment of photography that you have than the course in Brighton was?
So my degree was a very old-fashioned photography base. So we were learning all about the history of photography, first photo taken, daguerreotypes, all of that. That was what all my lectures were focused on. That was what all my workshops were focused on. What I wanted to go to uni to study photography was to be creative. Like I love going out just to shoot anything, like people, portraiture, landscape, anything. Like we weren't given the opportunity to do that. This year, like I've tried to make sure since I've dropped out, tried to make sure like I'm just doing what I want to do through like photography, because it is something I've loved. Like I did it for 4 years at school, I did it A levels, like I've always done it, it's always something I've done. So going to do it just that didn't work, like just focusing on photography didn't work. So I've got quite an not intense degree, like obviously people are doing more intense degrees than I am, but like it's a lot different. My degree this year, international relations, I've got a lot of essays, like it's very stimulating. Photography is something where I want to be creative, so being able to take my camera on like nights out, stuff like that, that's going to be where I can be creative, and that's going to be my outlet. Rather last year, all the focus was on that, which wasn't good for me. Like I wasn't being stimulated in any other areas. So yeah.
Passionate.
Yeah. Well, thank you very much for coming down. Good luck with the rest of Hustings, and we'll move on to the next candidate. Welcome back to our next round of candidate interviews. We're here with Lily. She's running for Stash. Do you want to tell us an interesting fact about yourself?
I have 5 granddads.
Care to explain?
I have my granddad Rodney, who's my stepdad's dad, and I have granddad Len, who's my mum's granddad, and I've got granddad John, who's also, mum's dad, then granddad John, who's basically I've got loads of family basically.
Interesting.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
Fair.
So, part of Stash's role is to design affiliate tops for
Yeah.
people in town. You've probably heard about them. They're a hot topic of conversation among all the affiliates.
Yeah.
Do you have any plans to release these this year?
Yeah, I guess so.
I mean, the affiliates might take that. We'll
No,
see.
I do. It sounds really fun. I mean, is it the first thing that I'll be doing, or?
Should be.
According
I
to
mean,
them,
yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, no, definitely. That sounds exciting. Sounds like a good start to the year.
And constitutionally,
Yeah.
a stash rep is meant to produce a set of stash every semester. Have you thought any stash designs up, or any ideas of what kind of stash you have in mind, or what we can expect if you were to make it onto committee?
I mean, everyone loves a scarf, especially in winter, and in Loughborough as well. Very windy. Everyone loves a phone case as well. I've had a little thought, but I just really can't wait to get into it and start designing.
So Hannah is our current stash rep. She's done a pretty good job throughout the year.
Yeah.
But what would you do better?
I think Hannah's done a really, really good job, but there wasn't any stash available to us when we came to Loughborough. There was a few things left over, I believe, like a couple of jumpers and I think a hat, but apart from that, and apart from what we got given at Freshers, we haven't had the opportunity to buy anything rig related. I'm
Okay.
sure that'll be a big thing for Freshers.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's a fair point. Everybody loves a bit of stash.
Yeah, everyone loves stash.
I'm rarely seen without my purple hoodie. Going back to the topic of affiliate tops and people not living in halls, your proposer is somebody who doesn't live in halls. That could be seen by some as an interesting choice. What made you go with a proposer who doesn't live in halls?
I was speaking to Katie, who was friends with Hannah, and she said that Ollie did really, really well promoting her campaign last year, and I sent him a message and he seemed like a really nice guy, and so I thought he would be a good person to speak to the second and third years for.
Fair enough.
Yeah. You talk in your manifesto about the fact that you study textiles. I'm not 100% sure what textiles is, but it's not designing clothes.
No, but there's a lot of you will design, say, big compositions, or you do designs that could be used for clothing or
Okay.
for interiors or stuff. So there is designing with clothing for
Yeah.
it. That's a big part of the project we're doing at the moment.
Okay.
But a lot of what I've done before, so through A level, and I was actually at Brighton last year studying knit, and a lot of that was all fashion based and about clothing. So I do have quite a bit of experience
Okay.
about it.
Last question, again, picking up the manifesto. You mentioned that while at Loughborough and just generally, you like to make the most of all the opportunities that you can.
Mm-hmm.
can you give us a few examples of how you have made the most of opportunities that have come your way so far at Loughborough University and in River Hall?
Yeah, well, I definitely got very involved in freshers. It was great meeting everyone and going out with everyone and socialising everyone. I'm currently course rep for my course, and I'm really enjoying that, getting involved and meeting, getting to know the tutors there more, and I'm really, really loving that. In Rigra, there's all the fairs that I went to, and there was one with, I can't remember the name of it, but there is stuff that I want to get involved in more.
Yeah. Okay. Well, thank you for coming down. I hope you enjoy the rest of Hustings, and good luck with everything.
Hello and welcome to the next section of the TV show Hustings interview. We are joined by the two Freak candidates. Would you like to start by introducing yourselves and telling us, if you were a plant, what type of plant would you be?
So hi, I'm Ed. I'm running for Freak, and if I were a plant, I think I'd be a foxglove because they're a bit different. They're quite pretty. They'd be good to look at, and they're quite functional as well. They're like lots of insects love them. So.
Back yourself. That's fair play.
Hi, I'm Maddie, and I think I'd go for a sunflower. I'm quite a joyful person. I'm quite happy. Quite an outdoorsy person. So yeah.
Okay, cool. I mean, it's a classic question for every Freak candidate. Do you know what it stands for?
I actually tried to look this up before. I thought it would be a question. I couldn't find it anywhere.
It's food, residential, environmental, ethical campus.
That's about right.
Yeah, that sounds good to me.
Yeah. That's it. So I'm not sure if you were at BHGM the other week. I hope you were. We voted to keep in the Constitution, under the section of Freak, Cecil the Fish. We currently do not have a Cecil the Fish. What are your guys' plans for Cecil the Fish? Cecil the Fish being the mascot of Freak.
It's a very
Have you
open
got
question.
Any plans for how you would incorporate Cecil into your time on committee?
I'd try and get like a nice social media thing going to get like more people involved, get a bit of a like maybe hashtag, get him appearing in places so like people get more involved and maybe post themselves a bit about it.
That's true, yeah. Maybe actually, well, firstly get the fish and then maybe design little outfits for it, along with the environmental outfits.
That's nice.
High positive, future outlook for Cecil the Fish.
I'm glad we kept it in.
Yeah.
So Tess, our current Freak/welfare rep, is very, very good at her job. But there's got to be something you'd improve.
That's a good one.
So she's really good, but I think there's still a bit of question about what can be recycled and what can't be.
That's true.
So recently I did like the Grime Day investigation. I learned that black plastic actually can't be recycled at all because it can't like get picked up by lasers or something. I don't really know.
Right.
But like just a bit more like education into what can and can't be recycled.
Yeah, like we were having a debate before actually about eggs, whether eggshells we can put them like in the bins or not, like the food waste bins on Norvids. So yeah, so just a bit more education on that.
A question on that: tea bags. Can you put them in the food waste bin? I know a lot of people do.
I think it depends on the brand.
Does it actually?
Yeah.
There you go.
Some of them
And then
are
everyone's
plastic
like
mesh.
silk bags as well.
Yeah, exactly.
So.
Yeah.
Okay, well you learn more. One of your challenges for Hustings Week is to have a plant with you at all times. Glad to see you both got your plant. What names have you given to your plants?
Mine's Barney the Bonsai.
Barney the Bonsai.
I like that.
We've got Craig the Cactus.
Ooh,
little label
name
on there.
tag as well.
To be fair, can't beat a name tag. It's almost like Stash. So, Ed, you talk in your manifesto about a lot of events with interesting names.
Yes.
Do we want to elaborate on what these events actually are?
Yeah, so it's like, I decided when people hear the word environment, they get a bit like turned off and they don't necessarily listen to the rest.
And you're planning to turn them on with these.
So, yeah, exactly. So get a bit more excited about it, get them like everyone involved, because everyone loves sex, of course. So you've got to get them involved in this. So stuff like share and shower is like a funny idea just to like promote saving water, and then like naked food isn't quite as cool as it sounds. It's like reducing packaging on food,
Okay.
going to local grocers because they obviously don't use plastic packaging, and it's stuff like to get people a bit more excited and involved in the environment. So.
And what about getting freaky with other sections of the committee?
So it's helping them out and like making sure they have a bit of a freaky aspect to what they do when they're like days and when they hold events. Yeah.
Maddie, you say that you're very passionate about the environment. We all know that we have blackouts every now and again where people are asked to turn their lights off before they go on a night out, usually for a punch party.
Yeah.
What else could you bring to the table in terms of making us a more environmentally friendly hall?
Well, I was actually thinking doing like 5-minute showers to try and limit the amount of water being like used every day.
With other people as well.
With other And like hopefully over time that would just mean that as a uni, like we'd just be saving a lot more water.
Sounds good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, thanks for coming down to the interviews, guys. Good luck with the rest of the week. I hope your plants make it. And we'll get the next candidates in.
So we're here with the candidates for the next section.
We can start again.
We We are here with the candidates for the next section, which is action. Would you guys like to start by introducing yourselves and telling us, apart from the action projects that have been so far, which one are you looking forward to the most this year?
Yeah.
Hello, my name is Jeremy Acorby. I'm running for Action. And the action project that I'm looking forward to most is probably the one coming up on Wednesday. Just got to get excited about what's coming up soon. Going to do some dandelions. It's going to be pretty good fun. So, you know, come along.
I'm Robin Perry. I'm also going for Action. And I agree with Jeremy. The one on Wednesday looks really good because I'm really interested in the environment as well. So I think that ties in to my interests.
Cool. And sort of leading on from that, if you could make any action project, like the university's going to do whatever you say, what action project would you run?
Oh, you've given me Pandora's box. So many things.
There's a lot of options.
I would probably want to do something that's kind of outreach in the community. Something where we can actually kind of get to know our community a lot more, because we do live very much in this Loughborough bubble. So it's something where we can get outside, actually meet lots of different members of the community and just kind of show them all the great work that we do in Action.
I think I'd like to do something to do with the elderly, because I think they can feel quite like isolated in our community, especially in Loughborough, because it is such a student predominated town. So I think it'd be really nice to incorporate that and like lessen the view that they have of like youths in general and stuff.
Okay. An important part of being Action Rep is going on action projects. I think that's pretty self-explanatory. Could you tell us how many action projects you guys have been on this year so far?
I've been on 2 action projects so far. I was meant to be going on a third, it got cancelled due to rain. I was ready to go, suited up, wellies on and everything, but you know, rain kills it for some people.
I've only done one, and then I was meant to do the other one the other day, but then it got cancelled. But I was really excited to do that one.
Fair enough. And Action's quite a big section. So you've got the 18 projects, which are the Wednesday projects, but there's a lot of other volunteering that Action does. So are you guys involved in any of this?
I'm not, if I'm honest, I'm not yet, but I would really like to be.
Okay.
Yeah, I've been involved, so we've got kind of the Saturday project as well. So after a very hungover kind of Saturday morning on FND, did the colour dash, got to throw paint on people. But when we did that, security actually routed them a different way, so we didn't get to throw paint on anyone. So we threw paint on people on the way home, so that was, you know.
You were there, that's what counts.
So Action is volunteering, which is a nice thing. You help people, everybody feels good for helping people. People enjoy doing action projects, they're actually quite fun. Out of all the positions on the committee, why Action Rep? Because there are quite a few positions to choose, so what makes you so passionate about wanting to organise volunteering for the whole?
I think it's something it's actually quite a small thing if you think about it, and we're so wrapped up, like as students, we get so wrapped up in doing work and then going out, we forget, and it's such a small thing that you can do, but it does make a massive difference. And I think if more is done about that to like promote that, I think a lot could change in the community.
I think Action is something, it's been quite close to my heart, volunteering. I never used to volunteer a lot, but then kind of over the past year, I've gone involved in loads of charities back home in London and kind of just doing a few things across the country to actually just get involved in volunteering. And I just found it's so rewarding, and actually being able to see there and then the difference that you're making, to me that's why Action has been the most important part of committee and why I'd really like to represent for it.
Okay. We've had a couple of issues filling our action projects, especially at the beginning of the year. Do you have any plans as to sort of get the involvement up a bit and get people going on these projects?
I think definitely kind of reaching out to the affiliates in town would make a big difference. All of the action projects I've been on, it's just been people in halls, and I get that it can be quite difficult for people in town to kind of come meet us at the union and then kind of heading out. So making sure that we've got a good network kind of outside of the kind of Hazelwood, Rutland kind of bubble that we've got here will definitely be really important. And I also think kind of increasing the media presence a little bit, kind of showing loads of photos about what we do so people can actually see this is what action is. I think kind of the pictures and what we do will speak for itself and people will just want to come along to the projects.
Okay.
Yeah, I think in terms of the Wednesday projects, maybe sort of organising it, I know it's organised quite far in advance, but maybe promoting it further in advance, because then people can really plan their months and weeks around it and they can look forward to doing particular ones and stuff. And so it's not so much for waiting until Monday to see what's on Wednesday, sort of a bit more in advance, I'd say.
And a classic question. What would you do differently if you were elected to the current Action reps and the way Action is currently run in the halls?
I mean, I think Action's already run really, really well. Every Action project that I've been on, it's been almost completely full. So I think they're doing a great job as it is, but I think literally just kind of increasing from the presence of Action so lots of people know about it. I remember my first Action project, asked the difference between Action and RAG, never made that mistake again. So just making sure that as people come in, they're fully aware kind of what Action is and kind of how great it is to get involved so that everyone can when they want to.
Yeah, I think just increasing like awareness of it in the hall, because I think, like I said to my flatmates the first day I did it, they were like, what's Action? So I had to explain it to them, and them not knowing meant that they weren't then going and volunteering. So I think increasing that, then you don't really need to do anything better than what the reps are already doing, because they are doing a really good job and it's always really organised. But I think just, yeah, increasing awareness.
Okay. And Jeremy, you talk about increasing participation, but do you have any plans to actually increase the participation, or what are you going to do to get
I think a
participation
huge
up?
part of it is just being a friendly member of the hall, actually being someone that people can talk to, not just about Action, but just in general, because that's a huge part of committee as well, just being someone approachable that everyone can talk to. And then that way, when people see a friendly face that's actually going on all of these projects, people will be more encouraged to come, especially those that maybe are kind of a little bit more uncomfortable, kind of settling into uni life. Having that more and more people want to go on it, and then people just spread the word. If people enjoy going on these projects, people will just be really, really happy with them and start talking about them, then more and more people will want to keep on coming.
Yeah.
That's fair. Robin, you mentioned that if you were elected, you'd like to organise a dinner for Action volunteers at the end of the year, kind of similar to the Action Awards, but just for Rig Ra, as like a little close and personal thing, which sounds like a great idea, but how would you fund it?
If I'm honest, I've not thought about that, but I just thought I took the inspiration from like High Table maybe, because I think potentially there is area for Action to not be so recognised. I mean, I can't say I've like been here long enough to know, but in my experience, I just think it'd be a really nice way to recognise it, because people do take these projects knowing that they probably won't be like recognised for it, but it just would be nice because it is a really selfless thing to do, even to give up an hour or so of your time.
Okay. And you also talk about initiating projects in your manifesto, but we get given our projects by the union. We don't get to choose. So I was just wondering what you mean by this.
Well, I'd just like to maybe, if I spoke to some students in Rigrat and found out what causes are close to home for them, they might feel more inclined to participate. And so I thought maybe then I would like to be quite active in talking to the union in the meetings and stuff, or like the higher committee of Action reps.
Okay. A question for Jeremy. At the moment, as you may be aware, if you do a certain number, I believe it's 15 Action hours, you get a half-price punch party. 10 Action hours. 10 Action hours, you get a half-price. Sorry, Maddie. You get a half-price punch party. Do you have any ideas for other incentives that you could offer to people to encourage them to come on Action projects?
I think maybe we could start off somewhat of a points-based system in the hall, where kind of Action projects kind of accounting towards points, just as we have right now, kind of towards the punch party. But then we could add that into kind of other aspects of hall life by running maybe, for example, when we've got a quiz night or something, it'd be a free entry into the quiz night. And that way it's just kind of creating that snowball effect. As people get involved in one aspect of hall life, they start to get more and more involved in different things.
Okay. Well, thanks for coming down, guys. Good luck with the rest of Hustings week.
Thank you.
And
Thank you.
we'll move on to our next candidates.
We are joined now by the candidate for welfare. Would you like to start by introducing yourself and telling us what your favourite pastime is?
Ooh, yeah. I'm Lauren Feather, running for welfare rep, and my favourite pastime is probably reading. Does that count?
Yeah.
Yeah, love reading.
Fair enough. The person you're looking to replace is Tess.
Yeah.
Tess holds a place in all of our hearts because she is a phenomenal freaking welfare rep.
Mine too.
And we love her so dearly. And she's done a phenomenal job on top of that in her positions. How do you plan to continue the strong welfare rep and freak rep position that Tess has set the standard for?
Well, obviously I want to like learn from Tess before she moves on from the position, and then I just want to like carry on with the work that she's been doing. Well done.
Sorry.
Yeah, carry on the work that she's been doing and ensuring everyone in the hall feels comfortable. They always have someone to turn to if they're in distress or they're upset over whatever, and just ensure everyone knows that there's support in place within the hall.
Fair enough. And mentioning what you just said about some people don't feel comfortable at times or feel in distress, you mentioned in your manifesto that you want to be able to help people who might be struggling or in difficult situations by making aware to them the different kinds of support that are offered.
Yeah.
Could you give us an idea of what kind of types of support are offered here at Loughborough University?
Yeah, well, if you are like struggling with mental health issues, which I know a lot of people are, there's the counselling service that's available. You can have an assessment with them and then they'll give you counselling. There's also the mental health support team who are really good in helping anyone who's got any issues and giving them support in their studies and through the living time at Loughborough. And obviously there's like, for like people who are like LGBT+, there's the LGBT+ Society who help people like meet other people in that society and try and make the uni more inclusive.
Yeah.
And we've actually, Tess has sent in a question herself. Welfare has a lot of different sections. Can you name them all?
I can try. There is the mental health, which includes Heads Up and Nightline. There is LGBT+, international mature students, disabled students, some more. There is the Women's League, I believe it's called. Oh, I'm on 6. Cool. Ethnic minorities, yeah. I said international students, but thanks. Yeah, so ethnic minorities, and there's one more, I can't remember it.
That's pretty good.
Good?
That's good
That's
going. Yeah, I'm
very
pretty
good.
sure that's
Yeah.
probably
Very
that's
impressive.
more than what
Yeah.
Tess was expecting. I'm sure.
Yeah.
I mean, Tess runs a lot of different welfare events in the hall. Do you have any ideas for welfare events you'd like to run throughout the year?
I quite like to do like dog walks. Love that. I know like animals help people a lot when they've got like problems with homesickness, being away from their pets at home, so stuff like that. I think socials is a good idea for people who both feel like going out to the union, having parties, but also sober socials for like maybe international students who haven't been brought up on this British like drinking culture, and also students who just like nights in. So yeah, to make it all more inclusive, so everyone can have a good time.
Okay. And final question: why did you choose welfare out of all the other roles on committee? What attracted you to welfare?
Because I think I was most attracted to it because during freshers I had a few issues settling in and getting like becoming familiar with the uni, and Tess really helped me a lot, and I just really want to help other people who are going through similar situations at the start of the year and throughout the whole year.
Okay. Yeah. Well, that's it for Lauren and the freak section. The welfare section. My bad. Separate. Join us soon for the next section.
We're here with our male sports ex. We'll kick it off. Very first question: have you all got your eggs with you?
Yeah.
Yeah. Where is it?
Oh no, it's in my bag. It's outside.
Oh no.
Well, it is in my bag. Let's
here.
just hope
It's in the
nothing happens
facility.
to it while you're doing this.
Put that to the jury. Cool. If you all go through and give us your name and your favourite sport, if you don't mind.
Will Edgener, and my favourite sport is football.
George Mullis, and favourite sport is football.
Matt West, and my favourite sport is tennis.
Bit of variety. So we're going to play a fun game. As I hope you all know, we have many ODs as part of IMS. OD being a one-day event. We're going to see how well you know the ODs that are going on throughout the year. So we'll take turns, starting with Will, going through one at a time, naming ODs until one of you can't name one. Kick us off.
Or you get all of them.
Oh, you get all of them, yeah. Then fair play to you.
Dodgeball.
Table tennis.
Athletics.
Volleyball.
Rounders.
Women's touch rugby.
Cricket.
We'll count it as hesitation.
Sure, on that note, I
Yeah.
don't think rounders
Keep
is an
going,
OD
please.
anyway. But you two keep going.
Wheelchair basketball.
Yeah.
Beach volleyball.
Yep.
Yep. And then 7 rugby.
Yep.
Mhm.
Yep.
Oh,
Yeah. Do we have any left?
Yeah, a few left. Can you think
Loads.
What's polo?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's one.
No.
Well,
I mean, yeah, fair. That's a solid effort.
Literally,
I thought of loads as soon as it was the pressure.
No, didn't say so.
Just, yeah.
Oh, that's all right. Cool. So we've given basically no walkovers so far, but we want to give absolutely none throughout the year. How are you guys going to make sure we don't give a single walkover?
I'd participate in any event. If we need players, then, and I've got loads of my mates. I'll just bring them down, make sure, give them incentives.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think just by promoting not just the success of the teams, but also getting to know that you can have a lot of fun as well by playing IMS, and might encourage other people who might think it is a little bit serious when it's not actually as serious as some people might think. So that could get more people involved.
Get like training sessions going for people who maybe not think they don't have like the ability, and get them to standards so we can get them in the team as well. Get like big training sessions going, getting like as many people involved as possible.
Okay, 3 good answers. So as you all know, the person that you are trying to replace, is Bucky, who is sat right over there behind the camera. Bucky's been a good sports sec. How do you guys think you could potentially be better sports secs, or what would you differently to what he's done that you've seen so far this year? Let's start with Matt.
Don't worry about insulting him. He doesn't mind.
He won't take it personally.
Making sure I'm going down to every event that I've organised to make sure that I'm there as well as the people that I've picked for the teams. Make sure if I'm trying to get people to go down and support, if I've got time to make sure that I'm there as well, not just saying everyone else go down, but then not actually going down myself.
Okay. George?
I mean, a lot of what Bucky does is perfect for the sports sec role. I just want to continue the success that Rig Rot has, and yeah, there's not a lot I would change, just possibly offering more training sessions and like informing people more about what goes on at IMS and sort of the standard involved.
I think maybe promoting the more social aspects of sport in Loughborough as a whole is maybe a means to get into IMS if you're not as confident or you think you don't have the quality, so get some practice.
Cool. So this is a question from Bucky. He just wants to know if anyone knows. Last year we finished just behind Elvin. By how many points?
Not a guess.
It's brownie points if you know it, but we don't expect you to know it.
79.
No, it's a lot.
Any guesses?
It's in between 0 and 30.
Oh.
Give it to them on a plate.
It was 1 apparently.
One sad solitary point.
We're not not mad about it.
Yeah.
So
picking on the manifestos, George, you mentioned in your manifesto that you have experience as a leader, but you didn't say much else about that. What kind of leadership experience do you have that you could bring to the table?
So I've played football all my life, and in a lot of the teams that I've played in, generally I've had a lot of teams where I've been captain, and even if I'm not captain, I'll take on a leadership role. Like I'll make sure everyone's in the right position and like motivate the team. Like currently I play AU futsal and I'm captain of the fours at the moment, so yeah, I've got experience in that area throughout my life.
okay. A question for Will. You talk about increasing the range of kit, but I mean kit's quite expensive, and we've recently just bought out a new range of sort of kit.
Yeah, I saw that.
Yeah. do you anything else missing? Like what else would you add? Are you
So looking at what a lot of the AU teams get, they get things including tracksuits and tech pants, stuff like that, more semi-casual wear.
Yeah.
So kind of just to say, look, because I think it should be an achievement to be in an IMS team, and we kind of should strive for that standard. So when you're in an IMS team, you can say, yeah, hey, look, I'm in an IMS team, and so maybe more casual stash could look to and maybe even encourage more people to join an IMS team as well. So that's kind of more what I was getting at with the
Okay.
Kitt aspect.
That's fair. Matt, you mentioned that your goal would be to come top 4 in IMS. We came 4th last year, 1 point behind Elvin. Included in top 4 is 4th place. Would you be happy with 4th place again? And would that not be seen as complacency if you were?
No, I meant top 4 like.
Oh, in whole of the year?
Yeah.
Well, we came 3rd in whole of the year last year, so the question still stands.
Oh, okay. Just making sure that I'm getting involved in all the, not just sport, like the ride and the action and everything. Making sure that it's not just me kind of being on committee and being like, yeah, I'm just doing sport, that's all I'm doing. Making sure that I'm helping all the other committee members, making sure they do it, they're like, it's not them on their own as well. Making sure that everyone's like working together.
Good.
This question goes out to anyone that has an answer. So sports sex, it's not just about working male and female, it's sort of a team for quite a lot of events. How do you guys think you're going to fit in with the current dynamic that we have among the sports sex?
So basically, how do you think you'd get on with GB and Patrick, the 2 sports sex who are on until February, and whoever comes on as the new female sport?
I mean, after Bucky's challenge, it might be a bit of a task to get GB back on our side, but I think from what I've seen the first couple of months from both GB and Patrick and these 2 lads beside me, I think we're all likeable people, we all seem to get on well with others, and just playing in teams with people like Bucky and GB comes to watch those, so you kind of get to know them through kind of those scenarios. So I think that will help quite a lot in being able to work as a team.
But GB's in my flat anyway, so she's been getting me involved and come down to the netball and the other fixtures. So and obviously she's in my flat, so me and her, I feel like, I hope we're quite friendly anyway. And Patrick's downstairs, and I talk to him quite a lot as well. So yeah, I feel like I've already got quite a good relationship with both of them already.
George?
I mean, in Red Rut it's quite easy to get along with everyone. Like, we're all similar people, we all just generally get along. And with the IMS and everything, everyone just gets involved. Everyone's like, it's like a family, so I don't think anyone's really going to hold a grudge or not like someone, because we're all striving for the same goal, so it doesn't make any sense for people to not get along.
Will, in your manifesto you mentioned social leagues and hosting social leagues and a way to get more people involved in sport within the whole, and hopefully that would build into IMS teams. When would you plan on hosting these social leagues? Because with IMS taking part almost every day of every week, and then courses and social events, when do you think there would be time to host these social leagues?
It wasn't so much as hosting a social league. If you can find time to host a social league, that would obviously help a lot of those who are still in their shell, but just kind of encouraging people that the social leagues exist, maybe posting something in the IMS group on Facebook or in the general Red Rock group chat. Because I remember I only realised that social leagues existed because my flatmates play in a netball social league, and I saw how this could be a good way just to get people involved. So maybe perhaps not hosting our own, but definitely pushing people in Red Rock to form teams of people they know and then enter those social leagues.
One more question for George. Again, in your manifesto, you mentioned sporting values and that you'd bring sporting values with you to the position. What kind of sporting values would you bring as a sports sec on committee?
Determination is the main one. Like, if you give me a task, or if I say I'm going to do something, then I'm going to do it. Like, you don't have to doubt that. So a role like sports sec, where there's lots of people relying on me to turn up or to get teams in, like, selected and trained on, like, you can't doubt that I'm just going to do it because I need to do it.
All right. Positivity.
Yeah, I think that's pretty much it for male sport. We'll wrap up here and get the next candidates in. Thanks, guys.
So now we are joined by the penultimate candidate, which is the candidate for Vice Chair and Societies Rep. Would you like to introduce yourselves and tell us what your favourite society is?
Alright, well, my technical name is Matteo, from Poland, but everyone calls me either Matt or Matty. Favourite society? I guess, I don't know, Polish society comes to mind. I love the socials that I went to with them. So I guess, yeah, Polish society will have to be my favourite.
Okay. Well, alumni weekend comes under the responsibilities of vice chair. I helped organise it last year. But what are your plans for this year? What are you going to change? What are you going to do?
Am I going to change? First of all, I think you did a pretty good job. I didn't hear anyone complain about you, so obviously I'll be asking you for some advice over the year. I can definitely keep my cool on a night out. Sober duty, all that, that's no problem for me. So looking after members of the whole, definitely a priority of mine. And whenever needed, I can help out any night out.
Okay.
Just call me and I'll be there.
So I was vice chair from November till February. Joe's been vice chair since February until now. And a lot of people say, they have said before and they still say it now and they'll say it in the future, that vice chair is a bit of an empty role and all you do is take minutes. How do you plan to show people essentially that there's more to vice chair than just sitting on a laptop during a committee meeting and taking some minutes?
Right, well, first of all, in the whole general meeting, I think it was discussed that the 3 responsibilities would be taken away, right? Was it? Was it taken away?
We're moving it around, yeah. We never had
Yeah.
the 3 responsibilities,
So,
yeah.
First of all, there's that. Second of all, I don't think it's just about taking minutes. Obviously, it's a big part of it, but attending all the meetings that are mandatory for vice chair, that's obviously part of the job. Freshers, when they come in, they look up to the vice chair. It's not about just taking minutes. It's about holding that position of responsibility. And I know when I was coming in, I thought you two were like the main people running the place. So I definitely looked up to you, and obviously respected both of you accordingly.
Okay. Another one of your responsibilities is the Granby. People would argue that the Granby needs repair or updating or anything. Do you have plans for this?
Yes, actually, as a lot of my block would know, I spend quite a lot of time in the Butler Court common area, common room. My friends, some of them went there from secondary school, and from what I've seen, their common room is better than ours. I think it's time for changes in the Granby. Speakers definitely need improvement. That's actually more on that in the coming weeks. But obviously, I think one time my friend came over as well. We tried to start table tennis. We couldn't find the net. It was a bit of a mess. Can clean the place up, make it a better common room for everyone. Most of the time I walk up past the Granby, I see people from John Phillips using it. Not regular members. I don't know why, but it's time to change that this year, I think. So.
Yeah.
That's fair. Moving on to your manifesto. You said we are a small hall. We're one of the 4 smallest halls on campus. And according to you, there's one thing that separates us from everybody else. What is Big Dick Energy?
It is, energy. That sounds a bit weird. Inside us. So I remember in Freshers, it was a great night. We're Hayswick Rutland, right? Small hall, invades the whole fusion area. We take control of the entire room. That is what, basically separates us from other halls. I don't see other halls doing that. We have fun. We take over the place whenever we feel like it. I think as a small hall, it's a really big achievement to be doing that, and that's what I think with that energetic bunch. So.
Okay. And still on your manifesto, you talk. Should we sort that light out? Still on your manifesto, you talk quite a lot about IMS. It makes up the majority of your manifesto, in fact. Did you have a last-minute change to vice chair after you realised that male sport had a lot of candidates running?
No, I didn't know how many candidates were running for the sports sec. I didn't think. Well, I knew it was going to be contested, but from the very start, I wanted to be a vice chair. I want to, be that person in charge that takes care of other people. IMS, I do think it's a big part of the university culture. Definitely think we're doing well right now. So I'd like to support other committee members so that this line of success continues throughout the years. Because it definitely is one of the things that defines Rigor as a whole, that we're always up there, even though we're small. And that's part of the energy that I mentioned before.
Okay.
A lot of people refer to the position just as vice or vice chair, but the full position is vice chair and societies rep. What collaborations would you have in mind with societies, or is there any society you'd like to do something with?
Didn't really think much about that, to be honest. So to say, I watched actually Hustings video from last year when Joe had the challenge of creating a society. Noticed that not many people are enthusiastic about that. Maybe something change that this year. So yeah.
Okay. And I've got one more question from me. We do quite well when we get 50 odd people down to a HGM. I mean, we need at least 50. But do you have any plans to improve these numbers? We want to get more people involved in our HGMs, more people involved in the hall they live in.
Yeah, I hear actually a lot of second years talking about that this year we get way less involved, and it is a problem actually, because it's downward spiral. If people continue like that, if next year comes in and it's even less involved, then Rigrot might not be the best accommodation it is right now. Definitely, I want to get more people encouraged in IMS, in more everything, action projects, rag projects. Not many people. We have no people running for rag rep. That's a problem. So I think if we push those things rather than just IMS, we can have an overall more turnout from the freshers. So.
Okay.
Well, that's it for Vice Chair and Societies. Thank you very much, Matt, and we wish you the best of luck for the rest of campaigning.
Hello, I am Ron, and I'm your final candidate. I stand for reopen nomination. I am currently running for every position on committee. If you feel like no candidates are good enough for the position, voting for me will give you the chance to find a more suitable candidate. So remember one thing, vote Ron.